Good afternoon, parishioners of Holy Trinity and those who are viewing this video on our Facebook page or our website. We're in the beautiful church here of Holy Trinity Parish in Assumption, Ohio, as we approach the fourth Sunday of Advent. So the Advent season is moving us each and every day and every week closer to the great mystery and the marvelous miracle of Calvary. At Calvary, each one of us experienced something that's powerful and transforming and renewing. And I want to take just a few minutes of your time in this video to share with you a way in which each one of us can tap into the miracle and the mystery of Calvary. But before I do that, let me back up a little bit. The other day, I was at home in Tiffin, Ohio, out rooting through things with my mom, cleaning drawers, and I came across a photograph of me and my 9th grade high school prom date. There we were, she looking beautiful as ever, and I in a polyester green leisure suit, different than a regular suit, standing before this image. By the way, lime green polyester suits are coming back. Nevertheless, we're standing before this image of a stairwell that led up into the clouds because the theme of our prom was Led Zeppelin's song, Stairway to Heaven. I think in my years that was the homecoming prom theme across the country, as it was one of the top songs on the charts that year. Stairway to Heaven. I don't know the lyrics of Led Zeppelin's song too closely, but I know the concept. And the concept of Led Zeppelin really speaks to the desire of the human heart. Deep within our hearts, we desire our heaven. We desire our eternal home. Deep within our hearts, we know that we're made for more than just this world. We're made for heaven. And yet, there's an obstacle in this stairway that prevents us to get to heaven. An obstacle so great that we can't overcome it, we can't go under it, we can't go around it. And that obstacle is sin. That obstacle is our rebellion against the infinite loving God. And so we need that obstacle to be taken away so that indeed we can be led up the stairway to heaven. Obviously, as we approach the Paschal mystery in the Trinitum, we will approach Good Friday, where we are given the opportunity to meditate deeply on how that obstacle was removed from our path to heaven. It was removed by a loving Savior, a Father who loves us so much that he sent forth to us a Savior to pick up the debt and the death of sin and to pay the price at Calvary. Through his death at Calvary, he picked up the burden and the debt of sin. He removed the obstacle so that you and I can share the prize of heaven. Christ paid the price for our sin. We get to experience the gift of that prize at each and every Mass, where there's a forgiveness of venial sin that takes place. But we also, in a beautiful way, and in the only way, receive a forgiveness of mortal sin. That serious sin that blocks us from his grace. That serious sin that indeed has removed us from the life of grace. And that sacrament is the sacrament of confession. I want to lead you through the doorway to holiness. Lead you through the pathway of conversion. Come this way. Literally, the doorway to the path to heaven. Come on up. We're still in renovation, so you'll note there's a handicap accessible ramp that makes it possible for wheelchairs, walkers to make their way to this gate to heaven. You'll also notice that we have a window and a door as well. This is a new design for us, and we're happy to have it. So come on in. As you come into our confessional, know that the church provides for our Catholics 2 different ways in which to receive the sacrament. They can receive the sacrament, we would say anonymously, behind the screen. This way, they do not need to make eye contact with the priest. The priest may not know who they are. This allows them to kneel down and speak as if they're speaking to Christ, who's present to them on the other side of that screen in the person of the priest. So the anonymous behind the screen option is available as you walk into our confessional. At the same time, churches offer a face-to-face confession. And that would be as walking in and having a seat across from the priest who will hear your confession. On the outside of our confessional, you'll notice that you'll see above that doorway a red light or a green light. It means the same thing at this intersection. Green light, come on in. Red light, stop. There's somebody else in the confessional. So observe that light above the doorway of our confessional leads from our church. But nevertheless, this is the simple, humble space where the miracle of mercy takes place, where one can bring to Jesus the burden of sin, and with courage and forthrightness, they speak clearly the sin that they have committed. To the best of their ability, they recount the frequency of sin, whether the number of times or the occasions per week or per month. They bring that sin to Jesus, and they've opened their heart with a full confession of their sin. Now we know that Jesus already knows their sin, right? He is the infinite God. At the very moment of sin, the very moment we stiff-arm him and reject him, he's well aware of our sin. And his very first reaction when we sin against him is to give us a right hook. His very first reaction when we sin against him is to give us mercy, to draw us back to him. And so that's the Jesus who waits for us in the confessional, because we cannot receive that gift of mercy for the mortal sins we've committed without first opening our hearts in contrition and sorrow and firm resolution not to sin again. So our hearts are closed to the gift of mercy until we have that sorrow, that contrition, that firm resolution not to sin again. And when we express that in the sacrament of confession, boom, enters the mercy of Jesus into our soul that cleanses us and forgives us. It makes us a new creation. This is an incredible, humble space, but the miracle of mercy takes place in this space. Confessionals across the world, in all locations where the sacrament confession is heard, whether it's in the airport terminal, under a tree in a park, wherever it occurs, where a sinner comes before Jesus and asks for forgiveness, and Jesus extends that gift of mercy to them through the ministry of the priest and the church, the miracles occurred. As we approach the Paschal mystery, the Trinitym on Holy Week, the church asks us to really examine deeply our conscience, to prepare ourselves for a good confession. At Holy Trinity, we will offer the sacrament of confession next week during our Day of Grace, which is Tuesday of next week. Our Day of Grace essentially means that the sacrament of confession is available throughout the day. Sacrament of confession will be, as the church is open at 8 a.m. for adoration all day Tuesday. In addition to adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, confessions will be heard here in the confessional from 9 a.m. to 12:30, from 2 to 4, from 5 o'clock to 6:15, or right before our 6:15 Mass, and then after the 6:15 Mass from 7 to 8 o'clock. If the Day of Grace doesn't work in terms of your schedule, know that the following Wednesday, March 24th, we have our Night of Worship, which is also going to be our parish penance service. We will have as many as 5 to 6 confessors there for individuals to receive the sacrament of confession by other priests. The Stairway to Heaven. Not only does Led Zeppelin know about it, the human heart desires it. We want the path to heaven to be made clear from the burden of our sin. And in this Lenten season and throughout our entire life as disciples growing in holiness, the path to holiness, the path to heaven is through the door of the confessional. I pray that you will embrace upon that sacrament during this Lenten season. God's blessings and peace upon you.